A.B.A is a mysterious character in that what we know about her is very little due to the fact that she's only been playable in 2 games. Today's analysis is on A.B.A from the Guilty Gear series, and also to discuss why bringing her back might be a bit difficult than people realize.
フラスコと呼ばれる実験施設で生まれ育ったアバ。彼女は偶然発見したマフにパラケルスと名付け、自らの夫とした。そして彼女は旅立つ。愛する夫に肉体を与えるために。
それが愛の証。
A.B.A was first introduced in Guilty Gear Isuka. Isuka was a 4-player fighter beat-em-up arcade game, which you may be wondering, how does that work? It doesn't. To sum it up quickly, because this game is terrible. Isuka versus mode can allow up to 4 individual players. In said versus mode, you don't automatically turn around. Instead, there's a turn around button, and it makes fighting all the more frustrating. But then there's an alternating lane, which is the same as Fatal Fury lanes, if you know what I mean. But switching lanes is it's hard to tell because of the fact that the different lanes are barely noticeable. The beat 'em up part is boost mode, which doesn't have lane switching, but 3D movement like old school beat 'em ups. Except the hitboxes for the enemy is so small that you need to be on the same elevation of the enemy. All this to say that Isuka sucks and is a very, very bad game. But it was also experimental. So, what does this have to do with A.B.A? She's the only new character from this game. She has a lot of promo art with the game and nothing else. This game doesn't really even have a story mode, so people were left with very little information about her. All we know is that she's a homunculus, she's gloomy, was designed by Toshimichi Mori, the main guy behind BlazBlue, put a pin in that for later, and her husband, her key, Paracelsus, who is also voiced by Mori, put a pin in that for later. So we would have to wait till Accent Core to finally see who she is in a good game with a good story. Well, decent story. Well, a story mode. You get my point. With Guilty Gear XX/, a new character needs to be put on the roster, a character who in gameplay can fit in Guilty Gear more highly offense-centered gameplay, as well as an appeal that no one else on the roster can fill but them. So they made Order Soul and chucked in A.B.A and because he was stuck in Isuka for so long. When I say chucked in, I mean chucked in, as in A.B.A has zero story relevance. They make zero effort in implementing her into this world of Guilty Gear as well. Before I go any further, I currently do not know if Guilty Gear XX/ have a story mode for A.B.A or Order Soul, as I have zero evidence of one existing. Due to the fact that XX/ was never released to the West, there's some difficulties on if they did have a story or not. And I have searched up so much information for these 2 games that I have basically come to the conclusion that they probably don't have a story, and if they do, it's not much different. And what I mean by not much different is I don't think there's any significant in there, as because every other source I look at, most of them just give the same information and none of them really provide anything she does. So yeah, we're just going to use most of the information I got from Accent Core. A.B.A is a homunculus who was abandoned by her creator, well, more so forced to leave due to the military. However, she didn't fully know that. After being alone for so long, she searched the tower she lived in for keys, as it gave her comfort. One day, she came across a demon key known as Flaming Nagao, but she renamed it as Paracelsus. A.B.A also declared Paracelsus as her husband, and that she will find Paracelsus a body. Paracelsus doesn't really care about being her husband. He doesn't really deny it or, well, do anything about it. He just says, I don't know how I got in this predicament, but I just am in it. So he's kind of chill about it. He also doesn't care about finding a body. He's in the same mood about it. Paracelsus is just kind of vibing. It's not like he hates anyone or has a current position in life. He just kind of there. And in A.B.A Accent Chord's story, they don't really do anything besides bumble around till they find a random human soul transfer machine. Their one quote don't really provide us with much either.
おい、
ん
ここをどこだと思ってやがる。
終戦管理局と違うのか？
分かってるんなら勝手に入るんじゃねえ。侵入者は即粉砕。それが終戦管理局。
そうなのか。待って、忘れないようにメモしとこう。
メモできた。
うん。
じゃあ、侵入者発見。
So the only theme I found in A.B.A is being an oxymoron. An oxymoron is a contradictory statement. For example, grapplers require a big brain to play, despite the simple dumb monkey brain grab with big dumb monkey brain damage. A.B.A in a lot of promo art looks like this pretty girl wrapped in bandages that can look like the antagonist or, well, the protagonist of the story. When in reality, she's this gloomy mess of a person covered in blood looking like the literal definition of anxiety. Yet, how she's presented in the story, she is like an isekai protagonist. It's also really hard to tell if she's smart or stupid. Paracelsus is a chill key that's constantly saying he doesn't need a body, but he never rejects getting one and happy to take the freedom that comes with it. If A.B.A didn't lock him up in her basement as soon as he became human. A secondary theme I quickly want to talk about because I know I would not be happy if I didn't mention it at all is abandonment issues, which is only shown in the endings, but other than that, it's really weird how it's never really explored. Sure, A.B.A gets jealous easily, but there's nothing really character-wise explored there. There's no goal of her learning to just not worry about her partner, nor is there a change in status quo. She kind of just stays the same. And she just, like I said, bumbles to point to point. And that's why more go onto this theme of oxymoron. For example, Paracelsus, he is a demon key. You expect him to be this scary, menacing guy. Yet he's just chill. As I said with A.B.A already. So you get what I mean by oxymoron type characters. Or it might be better to say, don't judge a book by its cover.
なんか信用できない。
そうか。無理にとは言わんが。
人間にしては大きすぎる。骨格も不自然だ。特に腕とか。
帰れ。
Alright, time for the crux of this video. So remember those pins I talked about? A.B.A hasn't been back since Accent Core. To start, I like to discuss her story significant, or well, her lack of story significant. From a story point of view, her character has nowhere to go. They can't really take her as she attained no goals, like I just said. Doesn't have anything to do to improve herself or anyone else. She has zero involvement with the Guilty Gear world, that you can't ignore her completely in lore. And she lacks any personal involvement with any other characters. She basically doesn't exist in Guilty Gear. The only, and I mean the only other person she has a connection with is Potemkin. But the only connection there is that A.B.A will call him non-human, whereas Potemkin will call her a freak, and also get slightly offended by being called non-human. But if anything, that's just a small joke more than anything. But if I'm being honest, and I know a lot of people will also say there's no way lore is the main reason she isn't allowed back in, let me also mention the second point. So, as of not too long ago from recording, Mori left Arc System work. We are unsure of if Mori left on good terms or bad terms, but since leaving we haven't gotten any BlazBlue content besides rollback for Central Fiction. IGN happened to do an interview with Arc System Work recently too. When asked by IGN when is the next BlazBlue content, they said it would be a while as they want to focus on Guilty Gear. Despite the fact that there are two exclusive teams for Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. For Guilty Gear, there's Team Red, and BlazBlue, there's Team Blue. Basically, BlazBlue is in limbo right now, mostly due to the fact that Arc System Work may not know what to do with the series now, or they are trying to respect Mori's wishes by not changing his series right away. Which brings us back to A.B.A, who is Mori creation, and he even uses Paracelsus as his own avatar in BlazBlue Radio's show. So it's clear Mori has an attachment to the character, to the point where Arc System Work may be uncomfortable with changing his character, or may feel that he might get upset by, well, changing his character without his input. Again, a lot of this is speculations as we don't fully know what happened with Arc System Work and Mori. The most we know is that Mori may have quit after the, well, bad reception with BlazBlue Dark War. Or, well, not even the bad reception, more like the game didn't really get to finish. And there was a whole bunch of production issues with BlazBlue Dark War. So, on that front with Mori, we don't really know what happened. And Arc System Work has also been weirdly ambiguous on what they're doing. For what we know, they are still working on Guilty Gear. They're making a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, and they're also making a new Granblue game. However, that new Granblue game was also delayed recently. So again, unsure of what the conditions of Arc System Work is at the moment. This analysis midway into research I discovered was mostly nothing. But it's also made me understand that A.B.A has never stood a chance of coming back without Mori input. And I would personally like to see A.B.A come back in terms of playstyle. Sure, you have characters like Nago Ryuki where it's somewhat similar, but it's not the same. Because with Nago Ryuki, people realize that the main point wasn't to get your blood all the way up and just quickly beat down someone. It was more so to make sure to maintain your blood. So it was literally the opposite of, well, it was the opposite of A.B.A. Ragna kinda has it with his install, but after continuumship, they kind of just turned his install into an overdrive, which isn't really the same. I guess more so in saying that there's never going to be another character like A.B.A for a while, sadly. And I would like to see her come back. And I would like to see her come back with character. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.
この装置を使えば。
大丈夫なんでしょうね。本当に大丈夫なんでしょうね。
多分、行くよ。
は
あなた、ご飯ができました。あんしてあげる。おいしい？
おいしいです。
よかった。たくさん食べてね。
はい
。
いつになったら、この鎖を外してもらえるんでしょ
う。だって、あなたがどこかに行ってしまわないかと心配で心配で。
でも、これは、監禁的な。
はい。たくさん食べてね、あなた。